Hello, friends. Another Friday, and time for Dear Burt 6. Wow, been with you now for 6 weeks. Time certainly does go by when you're having fun. And this is kind of not amusing, but gives me a good feeling. I guess that's fun for me. So here we've got a couple of questions, a lot of questions on the dwaddle. Let me go through and maybe answer 3 or 4 at one time. Nemu asks, can a dwaddle be any picture or any shape that one wants to use? And Cheryl from Istanbul in Turkey says that she's using this for 3 friends and as well as herself. I presume that after a week, if there hasn't been as much healing, should we just continue? Question is, how long do we do the dwaddle for? And then Vishal Udya says, can we make the dwaddle ourselves? And Julie says that she's used it twice. Her back pain has been reduced. Not quite gone, but reduced. That's a good sign. And she asks, should I continue repeating the dwaddle healing, or is there something else I should do? Now, basically, they're pretty much asking the same question. I'll answer Vishal first. Can we make the dwaddle ourselves? I do prefer that you do it yourself. Someone else mentioned that the dwaddle looked pretty much like his 5-year-old could do. No, I disagree. Your 5-year-old could probably do better. Realize that the dwaddle is a source of energy. It's kind of taking the initiating party out of the equation. I'll explain that in just a moment. We don't want the dwaddle to look like a human being. I had one artist in a class. He drew a beautiful dwaddle. It wasn't a dwaddle. It was a figure of a person. He actually drew the figure. And he worked at looking around the perimeter as he was taught. He said, it doesn't seem to be working as well as anybody else in the room here. Their dwaddle seems to be working better. Why? Mine is better. And I said, yours isn't better. You're trying to take something that is a mental creation and make it real, make it a reality situation. It isn't. We're just dealing with energies. The dwaddle is simply a means of gathering that information. It's like an icon. It's like people go to Lourdes. They pray before a saint or whoever it is. That's an icon for them. Is it in the saint itself? Is it in the piece of wood that's supposed to come from the true cross or whatever? If you believe that it's going to help you, yes, it will help you. So don't try to make the dwaddle into something it isn't. All I do when I draw a dwaddle is draw a long circle for the body, a circle for the head, an arm here, a leg here, and then I squiggle a lot of lines around with some extra squiggles where the problem is, and then whisk it off the page. If it looks too much like a person, I don't know that it would even work. Well, it probably would. But I'm not trying to make a person. Don't try to make it a work of art. It's not. Now, what is it that makes it work? It's your intent, like everything else. What do you intend the dwaddle to do? I intend the dwaddle to help me with my left elbow. Okay, fine. Then you draw the body, the head, the legs, the arm, and then around the left elbow, a couple of extra squiggles and off. And that's it. You don't have to be concerned with that, with whether it's going to work, whether it's not going to work. Can a dwaddle, Nemus asked, can a dwaddle be any picture or shape that one wants to use? I suppose that you could. For a workbook I once had, I drew a series of dwaddles, which were just a series of circles, just a bunch of circles. And that worked also. However, what I'm teaching you is to do the form of a human being, the form of a person. Okay, how long should you do this practice for? Generally speaking, a dwaddle works very well after 30 seconds of looking at it. Speaking of looking, by the way, you may be interested. The picture that you see behind me, I'll get back to the dwaddle in just a second. That's a photograph I took in Ireland, a place called Bray. For those of you who are in Ireland, You may know the restaurant, very famous restaurant, the Tree of Idleness. Wonderful restaurant, by the way. That's my version of it. I know it doesn't look quite like that, but that's my version of it. Okay, back to the dwaddle. How long should you do this for? 30 seconds. Just run your eye around the perimeter of the dwaddle for 30 seconds, and then wait. Wait 3 minutes, and then run your eye around the dwaddle again. Now, can you draw your own dwaddle? Yes. Don't be too concerned with the healing. Your intent is that it's for a healing. Don't be concentrating on the healing. Something else somebody asked. Well, I was taught that you think back to the last time that you did a successful healing. I'll get to that in just a moment. Should I keep repeating the dwaddle? As I said, just go around it. A few of my students have taken a dwaddle, put it on an 8.5 by 11 paper. You don't have to wait for mine on the internet. Draw your own dwaddle. Take a piece of Scotch tape, put it up on the wall, stand about 3 or 4 feet away from it, and then run your eyes around the perimeter of the dwaddle, 30 seconds. That's it. Which direction? I usually go clockwise. If you want to do counterclockwise, I imagine it will work just as well. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. Dear Burt, I'm beginning to catch your drift. This is what I was just mentioning. Is it important to recall the successful past cases when doing the healing? In fact, in Silva, they tell us to recall the successful feeling. Yes, when I was an instructor, I used to use that method, and it's fine. You want to do that, that's okay. But I find it a little bit more effective, much more effective, when I empty my mind totally. That way I'm taking emotions out of the equation. I find that's very important. It's like a great surgeon. A great surgeon, let's say it's a woman and her son needs an appendectomy, a simple operation for a great surgeon. You know, she won't do it. She'll call one of her peers in. Why? Because she cares too much. She's too involved. She's too emotional. You've heard the expression, an attorney who has himself as a client, as a fool for, or who represents himself as a fool for a client. Same thing. They care too much. I have found that when you get that caring, that emotion out of the way, you're much more successful in your healings. Dear Burt, this is from, who's this from? Elaine. Sorry about that. Elaine G. In the Law of Attraction body of work, many authors say to infuse emotions into your desire. They say emotions add fuel to a visualization, affirmation, etc. Probably does. After all, an emotion gets you stirred up. Boy, now I can see the fire and I can see the... That's not what you want. You want to be uncaring. So long as your intent is there, I have to disagree with this one. Anyone who says you have to be emotional when you're doing these things, well, I think they've got it wrong. Now, saying that, let me say that they're not wrong. They're right for them, because their healings are going to work also. You see, the thing with healings, once you have the attitude that you can do it in the first place, and of course this has something to do with intent, it doesn't really matter what you do. I have actually healed people in class by simply tearing well, here, I'll do it now. Now, this is for a healing. Those of you, well, I think I have enough time. Those of you who have a problem, watch this, and your pain will leave you. That's all I did was tear a piece of paper in half. Those of you who had a pain and who looked at this, me tearing the paper in half, let me know. Let us know for next Friday if your pain went away. I'm sure a lot of you who are in pain, who looked at that, all you had to do was look at me tearing the piece of paper in half. Your pain left you. How does that work? As I said, as long as you don't care, you clear your mind and your intent is to heal. And that was what my intent was, to heal. Well, it's almost at the cutting off point, so I'm going to have to stop now. I will have another video for you under this one. Thank you very much for being. Talk to you soon.